Behind the Brand features the people who are making things happen. Get the insight to grow your biz from experts who've done it. Get behind the brand.
Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with Chief Marketing Officer Dustin Gross and Head of Corporate Marketing Gregor Parado from DocuSign. Guys, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
So I typically ask my guests, how did you get this job? Let's start with Dustin. How did you get this job?
You know, I got this job with contacts I'd had from other startups, and I was at Microsoft Corporation and was looking for some hot new technology areas that I could put my enterprise skills in place and get something that's a little more entrepreneurial.
I'm excited to talk about the startups today. I know a lot of people who watch this show, they are in startup mode, they're entrepreneurs, or they're, working for the man, trying to put the puzzle together. What kind of tips and advice would you give to people starting something new, especially in the technology space? What's happening?
Well, I think the biggest thing advice I could give is to make sure you go to a space that's really got an important problem to actually solve. One of our board members, Mary Meeker from Kleiner Perkins, is a famous pundit in technology, and her formula for success begins with finding a huge space that has a big problem, and then finding some innovative way to really disrupt and solve that so that you add value to stakeholders that are experiencing issues.
So for people who don't know what DocuSign is, what is DocuSign and what kind of problem is it solving? How does it work?
Well, actually, it's incredibly easy. For someone that's sending a document for signature, it'd be just like if you had a paper document and you took Sign Here Now tabs and put them throughout the document, but you do that electronically. And you send it off to people. When someone receives an email to sign a document, they simply click a link, opens that document securely in DocuSign's cloud service, and literally it guides them through those places where they need to sign. So they never miss a spot that they have to provide information, their signature, a date, or their initials.
So what kind of feedback are you getting from the business world, from business owners? I mean, I'm just thinking about my tax returns, how easy that is, send that off, get that going, back and forth from the CPA and the attorney and all that. But how is it helping, you think, small business owners?
I say small business owners and their customers love the service because they're all wanting to use mobile technologies. They all want to be able to use cloud services and to not have to use old line ways of doing things. Printing, faxing, scanning is a complete waste of time. They know it. And they don't have to endure that kind of thing as they're doing email, other things like that. So this is a new convenient way to actually conduct business much faster, helps them get contracts signed faster, order to cash faster, collect information much more quickly and conveniently. So it's a win for everybody.
So you guys are up and running now. Things are going pretty well. You're getting some traction. Talk to us about some of the tougher times. What are some of the obstacles that you've run into, either with competitors or with the technology?
Early on, the founder of our company, Tom Gonzer, really struggled initially with how to get people to adopt and be comfortable doing this kind of work online.
Yeah. People
are used to signing for hundreds of years now, and it's a change in behavior to actually do it on a computer.
Yep. And
the first question they ask is that legally binding? So we had to overcome the hurdle and obstacle of actually proving that this was legally valid. And then people would say, well, how would I do it? I mean, it's just a real issue in people's minds around, I know how to use a pen, and I know what my signature represents, but how can I replicate that if I'm using a computer and there's no input device for a pen? So there's a lot of education we had to actually provide. And the first few years of the company's history was really that. It was trying to find formats and metaphors that we could use that made it familiar. Yep. And educating people on why this is legally valid. Luckily, we have legislation from Washington that Bill Clinton signed into effect that does make it valid, but we had to help people understand the steps that they're going through provide a very valid way to actually do this kind of work.
And how did you get the message out? I mean, adoption is a huge issue. You may have a great idea, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't go anywhere. And everyone's always trying to figure that out. Whether it's how do I get more fans on my Facebook page, or how do I build my list? How did you guys do it? I mean, you haven't done very much marketing, right? You've kind of let things grow organically, but what's the secret sauce?
The way we got our message out initially was to really focus against some specific use cases and verticals where they were having really acute problems in this area. So for instance, we went after the real estate market initially. So look, there's a lot of paperwork here. What a hassle it is to go back and renegotiate contracts, people having to sit by fax machines or visit their realtors' offices, and it was taking a lot of time. And that we specifically targeted that market initially to really get initial traction and
Yep.
make sure that we were solving their complete problem. And once realtors started using the service and exposing their customers to that, then they would come to us and say, gee, this is an amazingly better process. how could I use it in my own business?
I think that's smart. So basically what you did is you tapped into an existing base and tried to solve their problem, but leverage the fact they've already got this huge base already set up, and you just, you leveraged that.
We did, and we also partnered with some of the really influential folks like the National Association of Realtors to get them to endorse our product, to help them understand, and then they provided education to their members that made it that much easier. So getting that kind of endorsement in a specific industry where you get credibility really helped out as well.
Greg, I know you're involved in the social side. How important is social to what you guys are doing? You told me kind of off camera that a lot of what you're doing is viral, that the service kind of speaks for itself. Talk to us about the social side of things.
Yeah, so it is a highly viral product, which is fantastic for us, but we have to do things on the marketing front that help us further leverage that, and social is a great example. So whenever our customers sign, we give them the opportunity to tell others about that. We encourage them to do so. We also have taken measures within social that we're engaging with our customers directly, whether it's helping them to resolve concerns or showing them new ways to use the product, use cases that they maybe haven't thought about in their business, so that they can extend and get deeper ROI, and really just having that ongoing presence within social. And it's not just one person, it's really the whole company. So getting all of our employees engaged in the conversation so that they're encouraging people to use, to adopt the product, and really drawing them into the conversation.
Talk to us about some of the platforms that you guys have used. Like, Instagram is very photographic. Facebook is great for sharing all kinds of things. Where have you guys had a lot of success?
We do a lot of social within Facebook, within LinkedIn, within Twitter, and to a lesser extent some of the other platforms, certainly YouTube. If you look at LinkedIn, it's traditionally more business focused.
Yep.
So we get a lot of folks that are using our product in small businesses, in enterprise environments that we're able to reach through LinkedIn and through some of the groups around electronic signature and other groups that we're leading there.
Yeah.
Facebook is obviously a bit more consumer focused. Certainly see a lot of that initial real estate market that we cultivated, and their clients who are, anyone from your neighbor down the block that's signing for a new house to the CEO of a company that we want to do business with that's getting exposed to our product. So we leverage Facebook to continue the reach across that consumer platform as well.
So it's a great service, and it's super pragmatic, it's super functional. But as a marketer, is it challenging to market a product that doesn't have all that kind of sex appeal that maybe motorcycles have, or other kind of more dynamic product? How do you deal with that challenge, or is it a challenge?
Sure. Well, for me, I love it. I grew up doing marketing at Procter & Gamble, working in the brand groups there where you're selling paper or shampoo, and yet we found ways to really differentiate and provide a lot of extra value in a brand position that was usually a premium in the marketplace. And we have a similar challenge here. Some people would say, this is going to become a utility service. And in fact, one of our objectives is just to make what we do, DocuSigning, a verb. And so our challenge really is not to make it as glamorous as to make sure that people understand this is just the way to actually do things. And once they've used the service, what we found is people never want to go back. I mean, the experience is remarkable. But it's not something they would think of. They're used to doing things the way that they used to, and we've been doing it that way for a long time. So people, aren't naturally reach the conclusion, I need to go after a DocuSign electronic signature. We have to expose them in a way that helps them to understand this will enhance their life. It may not be glamorous and glitzy, but it's going to save them time and energy, and their customers are going to be really far more satisfied in using this service. And the other thing I'd say is, we have a platform to go well beyond just the signature, and that's where we're also generating a lot of additional wealth for our shareholders and for our employees as well, is that the signature is just the door opener, but the reality is being able to collect information, being able to store that in the cloud, being able to actually collect payment information, processing that in real time. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world, but it certainly is something that is a problem that many people have experienced and an inconvenience that people have had to struggle with.
Yeah.
We make much better by using our service.
It really comes down to what the pain point is and what the need is.
Yeah.
And that, I think, helps make it sexy for the person that's using it, because if you can speak to someone about the fact that you're saving them time, you're getting rid of the hassles, in that initial real estate market with a real estate agent having to drive around town to get signatures, or with a parent who's using our consumer product DocuSign Ink, who doesn't have to physically go to their child's school to sign a parent permission slip.
Yeah.
They can do it when they get to the office if they'd forgotten, and just quickly and easily send that back. It's really about finding the pain point, identifying that pain point, and providing some empathy, and showing how what you provide, the service or product that you offer, alleviates that pain point and makes life easier. And so for us, we focus around, the productivity, speed to results, whatever those results are. So if it's healthcare or pharmaceutical, it's speed to patient care.
Yep.
We focus on helping you reduce costs and creating a better experience, whether it's for your customers who are signing, your suppliers, your partners, even your employees.
And I'd say, the other thing we try to do is we do try to capture the best stories in the imagination of our audience by creating a platform where we can publicize things that are being enhanced. For instance, we got a note a quarter ago about a salesperson who was at the end of the quarter needing to close a big deal to get their payments, to take care of their family, and unfortunately the person they needed to get the final signature from that they were selling to was off on vacation in Yosemite, actually rock climbing, and we're like, and they said, this is a real problem, but then they realized that actually this person had a phone, and so they called them, they actually got a hold of them, oddly enough, and they said, look, if you could just sign this. And the person said, well, how can I do that? And they said, look, use DocuSign Ink. I'll send this to you. If you've got email access, you can just do it from your phone. And boom, they did.
So DocuSign Ink is a downloadable app. You can get it. Is it for multi-platform? Where can people find it if they want to get it?
Sure, yeah. You can get DocuSign Ink for your iPhone and your Android marketplace. And there's versions of DocuSign you can do just from within your browser as well. If a document's sent to you in DocuSign already, you don't even need the app. But for things that are sent to you outside of DocuSign, by using this app, you can return them securely through our network, really conveniently. Again, never having to fax, print, scan, any of that kind of stuff.
And is it free? So does that guy have to pay anything?
No. So, yeah, that's the other beautiful thing about our services. Signers never pay anything. To give information, to give your signature information, that's always free. Whether you're using our app or you're just responding to a note that's been sent to you for signature, we provide that service for free. It's the people that are actually trying to collect information that are willing to actually pay us that help subsidize the convenience of this new service.
Either one of you can speak to it. How important is innovation? You talked about, this is just the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg. How important is innovation in the DocuSign culture, and what are you guys doing to take it beyond what you're doing now?
Well, I would say innovation is critical within our culture, but not innovation for innovation's sake. Innovation based on what the customer needs is really what drives us within our four walls.
So how are you finding out what people need?
Well, we have a variety of channels. So you look at social media as one, where we're interacting with customers, helping resolve their needs, getting feedback from them and insights, and leveraging those into our product development process.
What's key in innovation in our mind is not just offering a great initial service, it's having an ecosystem of partners and leveraging our technology as a platform. So, we work very closely with our partners to drive innovation. They come up with great ideas, we envision great ideas. We've got a fairly sizable business development team that's putting deals in place for things like Box, where you can actually store documents using our service, but actually sign documents there, or work that we've done with Google Drive, who's doing something very similar, or Salesforce.com, who's embedded our service right into their technology, so that sales reps that are using their platform that have DocuSign for Salesforce can automatically send contracts right from their Salesforce console using our service, pre-populating the forms that are being sent out from their Salesforce database.
Cool.
And even as the forms come back in completed, it repopulates the Salesforce database, so there's absolutely no rekeying of data that's needed. So we're constantly looking for innovative ways to attach and add more value.
One thing that I'd build upon that, like as an example that that folks might be able to practice in their own business is, about a year ago we did a contest on social and Facebook specifically, and said, tell us how you're DocuSigning. And how you're using our product to give us some insights into the value that customers are getting. It was where have you DocuSigned? And we encourage people to submit stories, submit photos, anything that would give us some visibility into how they're using the product, but also sort of drive it virally beyond the natural network effect within the product.
Yeah.
And we heard from people who were deployed as military personnel in Afghanistan who were only able to sign for a mortgage on their new home with their family because they could do it from anywhere with DocuSign.
That's
and
cool.
we heard from, two of the funnier stories for me were, there was a woman who a business deal was saved because she was able to DocuSign while attending to her 5-year-old daughter in the bathroom in an Olive Garden. But that, again, it's because you can sign anything, anywhere, anytime with DocuSign. And then the other one that I thought was an interesting submission was a woman who couldn't break away from the business deal that she was doing. And she signed while in labor at the hospital in the ER. So, interesting stories, but there were hundreds of others that gave us insight into how are people using our product and what can we do in terms of marketing to demonstrate additional use cases that maybe we haven't even thought of.
People don't like to talk about failure because there's a stigma attached to it, but the reality is, you can't have success without the failure. What mistakes have you made along the way? And I know a lot of people who watch this, they struggle with the same thing. They have their own company. They have, 5 to 50 employees. I mean, and they're in the trenches just like you guys. Talk to us about some of the things that you've done wrong in order to get it right.
I would say one of the things for us that I think is a challenge, just because our product appeals to everyone, is really having focus and making sure that we maintain that focus. Because quite frankly, we could go out and speak to every consumer, every small business, every global enterprise about what our product can do for them. But to Dustin's point, finding those early wins in the marketplace, places where your product can be used and has a really strong use case. So, real estate, where they're signing a lot of forms, financial services and insurance, where new customer acquisition, there's a lot of forms to be filled out and signatures required. And using those as beachheads to be able to go to industries and sort of expand your service, I think is important. As an entrepreneur, there are a million different directions you could go with what you're doing with your product or your service, and really being able to identify the focus area and what sorts of things you are going to do and what you'll put your emphasis and your resources behind, and those things that you're either willing to forego or you're willing to wait and do at a future date so that you can actually make headway and progress in a particular area, I think is important. Some
of the biggest I think challenges we face is actually responding to the market opportunities that we see in front of us in a way that that is thoughtful. I mean, the reality is you can be overreactive to things that happen in your market, particularly when you're a startup and you're really trying to maintain a strong position. So for instance, we had initially a very strong position at the high-end part of the market, people that really valued our services in these enterprise areas, but we weren't really playing in the low-end part, and we thought, gee, to go after that, we've got to start introducing some cheaper, even free services down there. And we hadn't really done the technology innovation to separate our product offering in a way that made it easy to make that happen. So we just took our services and moved them down and said, all right, for a while, we're going to test free. And we ended up cannibalizing some of our revenue, particularly from customers who were willing to actually pay. And they were amazed that we were willing to give the stuff away for free. And we realized that that was a little too much. We actually had to do some innovation work to better segment our offering, so that what we were providing for free was still valuable, but not giving everything away. And there was still a path to upgrade folks. And for a quarter or two, we really actually hurt our own revenue stream by over-cannibalizing revenue that we didn't need to. You follow me?
Yep.
And it took us a while to actually change the service offerings, package them up in a way that provided a more rationalized plan. But sometimes, we saw these upstarts coming up in these mobile marketplaces and thought, geez, we've got to go after that quickly. So that's, I think, one example of where you can do it. Now, the other side is, maybe we should have been thinking earlier about this. We were so happy with the kind of revenue and the margins we were generating at the high end. Maybe what we should have been doing is building those plans to move down much earlier, which I think can be the other problem, is you can get so stable and feeling great about where you're at and not really think about the threats that exist in other parts of the market.
Right. So we've been spending a few minutes with the guys from DocuSign. Guys, thanks so much for making such a huge difference in the lives of millions of people, making it easy, saving us time and money. Amazingly simple idea, but it's having such a huge impact. And just love watching your company, where it's going. You're way beyond the startup mode, but it's a fun startup to watch. You guys are definitely on fire. Great job with everything you're doing.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.